I've got this empty yogurt can and a quick gardening tip for you. Guten gardening, everybody, and hello from a, for once, dry Zone 5 Wisconsin day. Boy, the last week and a half or so, the weather has been rainy, gusts of wind 30-40 mile an hour. We had some hail here. I heard this morning on the radio that the largest hail that we had was about 3 inches in diameter in this area. So we've had all kinds of strange weather, which is, I guess, to be expected here in Zone 5 Wisconsin. And my understanding is the next couple of days we're going to get some more rain. So I had to take a sunny day, an opportunity on a sunny day, to come out and show you a garden tip, but also to remind you that there's a great green stalk sale today. And since green stalk and this tip go hand in hand, I think that's going to be useful for you to know. A sale that gives you a great price on their 7-tier leaf system. This is the leaf system, the shorter tiers, 7 of the shorter tiers. And they have just introduced their new dome, the humidity domes, for their seed starter kit. So we got the seed starter kit. We did a video where we evaluated it about a month and a half or so ago. And now when we reached out to them and we suggested, and I guess a lot of other people suggested, the need for a dome, a humidity dome, and now they have those as well on sale. And you can get a set of 6 of those domes for under $10, which is about half price from what they're going to cost when they're not on sale. So now is a great time to get a hold of those domes. This sale is not the same sale that they're going to have for the Mother's Day sale, which will be coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that one as well. And if you are interested in taking advantage of this sale or the Mother's Day sale that's upcoming, remember to use our link that's in the description of this video and code Guten for an additional $10 off your order of $75 or more. But I'm beside a 7-tier leaf system. This is the Cherry Blossom Pink, the basket weave variety. This is what my daughter grew some of her herbs in last season. And I've already got a bunch of herbs started inside for planting this season. But here's the thing. I think a lot of gardeners will tell you that it's really important to label and know what you've planted where in the garden. I can't tell you the number of times where I've planted something and I said to myself, oh, I'll remember exactly what this is and where it is because it's just gonna stick in my mind. And I come back out a week or two later only to realize I have no recollection of the specific variety of vegetable that I planted in a given spot. And so I want to make sure I label as much as possible. And I said that today's tip is a good tip for green stalks. Well, I have a 7-tier leaf system here. So that's 42 different pockets. So potential here for about 40 plus vegetable varieties to grow in here. Now, most of the time I grow one type of vegetable per tier or a couple of tiers of one vegetable, a couple of tiers of another, but I still want to be able to label everything easily. And I've seen the recommendation that you use popsicle sticks with a Sharpie on it. The problem I have with popsicle sticks is the rain really creates problems with that fairly quickly. And of course, you've probably also seen lots of options for garden markers or vegetable markers made out of plastic, which is fine as well, but there's some cost or additional cost necessary for those. For us, one of the things that we found that was really easy is to use stones. So if we have a stone that's smooth enough, we'll go ahead and write on that stone. But a stone is going to take up space in a small space garden like this, and I don't have the room in my pockets to put a stone in here that's labeled. And so I'm going to use one of these containers. Now, I will say I have used milk jugs in the past. You can see a milk jug here that actually still has the remnants of the word basil written on it. I've just cut a milk jug. One of the things about milk jugs, and maybe this isn't a big deal, but they are definitely really flexible. So putting them down into the soil, not exactly difficult if it's a soft or loose mix, but it can be a little bit more challenging if you have a little bit denser soil. But also there's a lot of curvature to a milk jug. And so getting something that is flat, there's only parts of the milk jug you can use. But now a container like this is actually really simple to work with. These yogurt containers, we buy yogurt relatively often, so we have plenty of these and we don't usually throw them out. It doesn't matter the variety of yogurt container. It doesn't even matter if it has a label that's peelable like this one. This one's kind of nice because it peels off. It makes it kind of nice because I can use either side of the plastic. But even if that label doesn't peel off, and even if there's some writing or print on the outside, the inside is still usable. So the process of making this into a label, as you might guess, is very simple. The first thing I'm going to do is cut off the bottom, just like so. And I've removed any of the curvature here. I don't want any of that rounding. So I've cut off the bottom. And then secondarily, I'm going to go right below the lip here. Again, all I want is flat, smooth surface left over. And this one's actually really easy to cut, especially if you have a sharp knife. Mine's getting a little bit dull because I've been cutting quite a few of these. Just like so. And now I have a whole bunch of labels contained in here. And now it's as simple as taking a pair of scissors and making my cuts. Now I like to keep these thinner. I'll give it about a half inch or so, because that's all I really need to write the name of whatever it is that I'm planting. And that also maximizes the number that I'm going to get from this singular container. And doesn't matter if they're exactly rectangular, as you well know. In fact, the top, if I spread this out, you can see, do you remember what that shape is called? But anyway, the top is a little bit wider than the bottom. So if I cut it so that the top is a little bit wider, it actually makes it even easier to poke into the ground anyway. It's like it's a little bit sharper, but I can end up in really good shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the rest of this down and show you how much one of these containers creates. And I'll make it easier so I'm not dropping each one. And so that one container provided me about 30 of our labeling slips or labeling sticks. And the way I label these is with a good Sharpie. I understand that, you know, in a couple of months after they've probably fruited, that the Sharpie will wear over time. And I've heard in some instances wax pencils tend to last longer in terms of the writing. But that is a quick and easy way to get a whole bunch of labeling sticks. So when you're trying to keep track of all the different varieties of fruits, vegetables, whatever it is that you're growing in your garden, especially in these vertical towers, it's very easy to label and keep track. And you don't have to spend any additional money. I'll say this about gardening. I think that most people who garden don't want to spend an extra amount of dollars on anything. If they're not trying to spend extra money at the store on fruits and vegetables that aren't all that great tasting anyway, they're probably wanting to find ways or additional ways to save some money. And I think this little gardening hack is just another one of those ways. Now, this video is attempting to serve three purposes. The first one is to remind you that there is that Greenstock vertical garden sale now, and there'll be another one for Mother's Day. The second one is to show you this little garden hack that I know works because I've done it and we've used it, and it has been our experience that it does work. The third purpose of this video is to get some information from you. As I think about garden hacks, and I think about some of the ones that we've used over the years, ones that work, as we've read in different online groups and looked elsewhere at other gardening hacks that some people swear by, but there's not necessarily any scientific backing or proof that it works, I'm interested to hear from you. One of two things, or even both, really. I'm listening for or looking for some gardening hacks that you absolutely love, that you swear by, that you say this works, I've proven that it works. Just a gardening hack that you enjoy. Conversely, I'd also love to hear from you if you believe that you know a gardening hack that other people swear by that you know doesn't work for you, or that you think couldn't possibly work. I think there's a lot of information that people spread out there that is not exactly accurate, but they see it in one place and they start passing it along to a bunch of other people. And before you know it, we get all this information out there that isn't necessarily based on experience, and you know where that goes. But anyway, I would love for you to comment one or the other or both in the comments of this video. I think it would lead to some really interesting community discussion. Well, I hope you enjoyed this gardening hacks video. This is simple. This isn't going to cost you any more money than what you already have. I think about this and I think about all the big butter containers back in the day, or those other containers that we used to store food in after they were used. It takes me back to my childhood. Anyway, this is just another use for those other additional containers. Well folks, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.